Wants to throw it to Sewell. He caught it. He saw the first down. Oh, yes. The big man dives down the 31-yard line. Oh, that is beautiful. Fields looking pressured, hit from behind, taken down. Aiden Hutchinson got him.
No respect.
So, we look like we're ready. This is day one.
No respect.
All right. Well, hey, good evening, everybody. This is an impromptu live stream tonight, doing a short little wrap up. Voice is still not perfect. I hope everyone can hear me. I think I got everything's pre-set up again. If you can't, just drop it in the chat. Let me know. So I wanted to get into a few things tonight. One, I just wanted to say it again, how proud I am of these Detroit Lions and how far they've come in this journey and what it means to the city of Detroit, what it means to the loyal Lions members, the everyday fan, the bandwagon fans that, my goodness, they've been filling up this bandwagon all season long. But just every Lions fan out there, it doesn't matter where you're from, where you live, how many games you've gone to, how many season tickets you've owned or none. It doesn't matter. We're all fans. We're all in it together. And what the Lions just pulled off, finally getting this playoff victory, like I said yesterday, getting this monkey off their back. The biggest monkey they've had outside of, this supposed curse that we've been dealing with for so many years. It's gone. There's no reason why it should ever exist again. There's a few major storylines, headlines out of this that I want everyone to be really familiar with. Everybody called Dan Campbell a meathead in 2021. I hope they woke up this morning, looked at themselves in the mirror, and realized they were wrong. Dan Campbell just might be one of the most intelligent coaches. I think he coaches with a lot of emotion, which I feel like it sometimes can get the best of him. But he's also been figuring things out the last 3 seasons. And he's getting better every season. The team, this team, I have never seen a team play so hard. Every play, doesn't matter if they're in the game, out of the game, they really play. And that really speaks volumes, not just for Dan Campbell, but Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, Dave Phipp, Mark Brunell. Everybody, Brad Holmes, Sheila Hamp, everybody that's a part of this team. And I might be giving you guys some updates too. I see that the Bucs game just started. I might give a few updates during this stream. So that was the first narrative, was Dan Campbell and how he would never amount to anything. He went 3-13-1 his first season. Everybody laughed at him. Everyone said that the narrative was true. And then we have a really rough start to the second season. And again, Sheila had to come to the mic to tell everybody that she stood behind the choices that she made and the team that she assembled and to stick to the plan and things are going to work out. And of course, nobody believed it. The Stephen A. Smiths, the Skip Bayless, the Shannon Sharps. I think Dan Orlovsky stuck in there a little bit, but just about anybody else out there. Maybe Dan Patrick, stuck behind him. Scott Van Pelt's kind of both ways. I think he kind of plays like both party lines. Very few people stuck behind what Dan Campbell was doing. But now you see in every team, they use the word grit. They use the word resilience. And look, that term came from the Lions. That came from Dan Campbell. Now everyone is trying to bite his kneecaps on the things that he's done and brought to this league and through this team. You know what they say is when you have a good things going, people tend to follow you. They tend to attach themselves to your coattails. And maybe it's happening, maybe it's not, but Dan Campbell's doing some incredible things. He's knocking down walls. He's locked in. This shirt is perfect. I didn't like it in the beginning, but now I do, because it speaks what this team is about. They're locked in. So just to clear the air, Dan Campbell was a perfect fit for Detroit. I said that a few weeks ago. I talked about it when I gave a little history lesson about Detroit and what Detroit's all about. And I don't know everything because I'm not from Detroit, don't claim to be. But I've done my research, and I promoted a few things that are near and dear to the heart of Detroiters. And I'm sure there's a lot more things that I don't know. So quick recap. I spoke last night about a couple of plays, about CJ Gardner and about the backfield. And I wanted to look at it again. So I spent a little bit of time today just kind of going over these plays a few times. When Puka Nacua had that long TD, Cam Sutton did get burned bad. CJ Gardner, though, was over top. He was the one that was over top and was supposed to be there. He missed Nacua, even getting above Sutton. So the Lions really need to stop relying on this man-to-man on the best wide receiver on the other team. I think if there's a case to run half the field man-to-man and the other half in some sort of a zone coverage, these are the types of games you're going to want to do it in, because we're going to go up against some fierce competition again, potentially Mike Evans and whoever, the Philadelphia Eagles are able to dress. So CJ Gardner, the reason why I brought it up is because he's been away from the team the whole season. Still played a pretty good game. Everybody had their moments, and everybody shit the bed too. So we're too late in the season to think that things are going to get better. Where we are right now is where we're going to be for the last 3-4 games of the season. There's not much more improvement that can be had inside a week. They really can't install anything new. They've just got to install the right defenses prior to the game. So the next big play was Tutu Atwell. Vildor, he missed on Atwell. I mean, there was a good pass by Stafford. It was a tough pass. Vildor just missed him. But again, nobody was over top in position to back up anybody. So the Lions, they just can't keep putting themselves in harm's way like this. They either have to do a single high safety with 2 extra safeties in and 2 cornerbacks and have 5 or 6 DBs in if they're going to roll single high safety, or they need to sit back in a zone coverage, because our guys are not good in man coverage. So the Lions can't keep doing this to themselves. They've got to clean it up. These TDs were preventable. Go back and watch the tape. 100% preventable. This was not like some exceptional play by Puka Nacua or Matthew Stafford. This was a breakdown on the Lions defense. We can't have it this weekend if we want to win the next game. Lastly, on the defense, when the Lions blitzed, they were doing well. They blitzed off the edge behind the defensive end, and we had success. So I hope we do see more of that, because the more we do it, it seems like the more this defense really starts to cook. And speaking of cooking, Jared Goff, man. Reason why I wanted to do this wrap-up show is because of him. Get a drink of my soup here. Jared Goff is the reason why this team is where it is. And following Detroit's win on Sunday, I would say that both teams are pretty happy with the trade. The Rams won a Super Bowl 21 in 2021. The Lions went from 3-13-1 in 2021 to now 12-5, really 13-4 in 2023, and just snapped the longest playoff losing streak in NFL history. 9 straight losses for the Lions. And look, only having 9 appearances in the playoffs, that's the problem that Dan Campbell's trying to fix. And he started with 1 win yesterday. But the Lions, they netted a huge haul, and I went over this the other night too. That trade, led to the players that we have now today. Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, Ifeatu Melifonwu, Josh Paschal, Broderick Martin. So this trade was huge. but the most important player was Jared Goff. And when you consider all of it, right, it probably is the most mutually beneficial trade in NFL history, at least that I can remember. But this has probably been the biggest trade in Detroit Lions history. But the thing that I want to point out tonight is the shade is still very real against Jared Goff, and it did not even stop after this win. Historical win for Detroit, the Lions, its fans, and Jared Goff. All the narratives busted. Jared Goff went in and proved everybody wrong, and he's still getting shade. And I'm going to start with McVay's first quote that I found. To him, the game's results, I guess, changed nothing. This is what he had to say. I certainly am appreciative of the 4 years we had together, McVay said of Goff. And I wouldn't want anyone else as our quarterback than Matthew Stafford. Let me break that down just a little bit. I'm going to compartmentalize it maybe just a little. He says, I'm certainly appreciative of the 4 years he had with Goff. That's BS because you threw Goff under the bus. And it was so bad that you had the Lions fans believing that Goff was some trash quarterback. You had Lions fans arguing with each other over the last 3 seasons that Goff would never get to this point because of the way you treated Jared Goff. And to go on to say that you wouldn't want anyone else as your quarterback than Matthew Stafford, I mean, that's just toting the company line. That's all he's doing there. But he didn't stop there. He had a little bit more to say. He said, Jared was really efficient. You can see the command he has. There's a lot made of it. And I'm trying to emphasize that as best as I can. You can see the command he has. There's a lot made of it. But I'm really happy for him. Obviously, we wanted to come away with the win, but he's done a great job. And I think the grit, resilience, and the way he's done his thing over there, done his thing here over the last 3 years, I'm happy for Jared. Let me break this one down a little bit too. And I'll get to you guys to chat in just a moment. You can see the command he has. There's a lot made of it. To me, that's like saying people are making a real big deal about Jared Goff and what he's able to do with this offense, but it's almost like fluff. Like it's all BS. Because he says there's a lot made of it. What does he really mean by that? There's a lot made of it. You mean that people are actually talking about how well Jared Goff is playing and how well this offense has been playing for 2 seasons in a row as a top 5 offense? I mean, up and down the metrics, I mean, they're all over the place in the top 5, top 7. Is that what you meant by there's a lot made of it? Because that's not what I'm getting from this, Mr. McVay. But to go on to say that you're really happy for him, clearly you wanted to get the win. I mean, what team doesn't? And then, yeah, he has done a great job. And then he goes on to say, and I think the grit, resilience, and way he's done his thing over the last 3 years, I'm happy for Jared. I don't even understand that sentence. It just doesn't make any sense. He's just, throwing darts at a dartboard, I think, at this point. So the shade is real. The shade is real. Here's what I really want to say, though. Many of you call Jared Goff a bridge quarterback. Many of you doubted Jared Goff during this season. You never thought that he would amount to what, he has amounted to. You never gave him an opportunity to be successful in your eyes and what success looks like from a team that totally gutted everything just 3 seasons ago. To now going back-to-back winning seasons and winning a first playoff game in 3 years. Please answer this question for me. And I apologize. I'm still under the weather, so I'm trying to do my best job here. Answer this question for me. When is the last time the Detroit Lions have brought in a new quarterback, drafted a new quarterback, and went to the playoffs and won within 3 seasons after a complete gut job? They've never done a complete gut job in my lifetime. But even a total rebuild. When is the last time we brought in a quarterback and have seen the success that we've had today? Now, I could sit here all night long and wait for somebody to tell me something, but I already know the answer. It's never happened. So to say that Jared Goff was a bridge quarterback and that we needed to put Hendon Hooker in and by week 8, by week 9, I mean, goodness, guys. Last night, the people that showed up at the stadium, if you were there, you felt it. And I think that there was a lot made of it throughout the week. I think some of us did a really good job at making sure that we supported Jared before Stafford. And I've seen some of the other narratives, and I'm not going to get into all that, but, if someone did say something about Stafford's kids, that's just not, or booing his kids, that's not Detroiters, man. That's not Michiganders. That's not good humanity. But from a rivalry perspective or a competition perspective, yeah, we got to support our guy. So for the people that showed up last night that went above and beyond, I mean, for 4 straight hours, and the chance for Jared Goff, that's who your quarterback is. Played in a tough game last night. Didn't turn the ball over once. Fought through some pressure. I mean, drove down the field 3 straight drives in a row. Pretty tough guy. That's my quarterback, Jared Goff. And until he's traded to another team, he's going to be my quarterback. So, Jared Goff, just like Dan Campbell said last night, you are good enough for Detroit. Matter of fact, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but maybe you're too good for Detroit. Because apparently a lot of the fans in Detroit have been throwing you under the bus all season long. I'm not saying it was any one of you guys in the chat tonight. That's not what I'm saying. But I am calling everybody else out there that has been calling Jared Goff, trash or, a bridge quarterback or whatever you want to call him. Because I think he finally proved everybody wrong last night. And he didn't need to win last night to prove me wrong, or to prove me right, I should say. I knew what this guy had. I knew that it would take a good, solid team on both sides of the ball to finally do what we did last night. Now, our defense is in trouble. It's been in trouble all season. We can't get any pressure on the quarterback. And what I mean by pressure is, real pressure, like actually getting some hands on the guy. When I say the word pressure, I don't mean it loosely like you're getting pressure. Because, Aiden Hutchinson's got 100-plus pressures. They've amounted to crap all season. What I'm saying pressure is, like quarterback hits, like real quarterback hurries, not just pressure collapse in the pocket a little bit. Pressure meaning I want to see the quarterback have to move, have to run away, have to dodge somebody. That's pressure. Pressure's been used way too loosely in this league for the last couple seasons. So, Jared Goff, man, I don't mean it in a bad way, but he proved everybody wrong last night, and I'm glad he did. Because now the city of Detroit should back this man. He's 1,000% due, owed, and deserves a new contract. Now, it doesn't mean we're always going to have a season like this. Look at Super Bowl winners. They fall flat on their face the next season. It's just the way it goes. It's just we're hungry. We're hungry because we're Detroit Lions fans. And we've been waiting for a long time to have a season like this. And we finally had one. And we still got more to do. But you need to be behind your guy, Jared Goff. Because without our help, right, without our support, this team doesn't do what it does last night. We're a big part of the win. We didn't get flat. There's times, you just have to take a break. My voice was gone before the first quarter, but We've got to be in that game and backing everybody. I mean, I've been to games where we've booed our own offense. We booed our own defense. Some of that stuff is warranted. It's, setting the stage. You're setting the tone. You're saying, look, this is not acceptable anymore. Dan Campbell probably appreciated that. But from here on out, we need to support this team. Whether you believe it or not, the things that you write, the things that you say, it does get seen. These guys aren't oblivious to it. Now, in what I'm trying to do, from a media perspective, from a fan's perspective, from a creator's perspective, I will have to be negative, Nancy at times, just because I'm trying to promote the truth, the honesty, the transparency about all of it. I want to point out the negatives and the positives. I want to, give you the real deal about your team, not the fake fluffy stuff. We're not giving you the Kool-Aid drinking, kind of, topics and content. That's not my goal. My goal is to have real conversations and then find real solutions, but talk about it as a fan base, for the fans, by a fan. Something that nobody else does. There's only really two of us that are doing it right now. And you know who the other guy is, Derek. We're all about the fans. All right, let me get into some chat. You guys are awesome, man. I really appreciate y'all. Better the Hunt says, what a win. Have a nice life, Matthew. It's Goff season in Detroit. And I couldn't say it better than that. John Desage says, finally, our divorce is final with the Staffords. And to the Staffords, look, I wish them nothing but the best. They were an excellent patron to the city of Detroit. They do excellent work in the city of Detroit. Matt Stafford, what he said at the podium yesterday, I'm not going to comment on it right now. I don't really know how to take it. He clearly was not happy. But if somebody really did what they did to his kids, I wouldn't have been happy either. As a matter of fact, I probably wouldn't have been at the podium. I probably would have been in the stands. But, that's just me probably losing my head. I wouldn't have been happy. I would have been there protecting my wife, protecting my kids. Let's just put it like that. Lone Wolf says Goff is one hell of a QB. He certainly is. The Rat King 77 says, as happy as I am for the Lions, as a whole, I might be even more happy for Goff. McVay tried to break him on his way out of LA. He's been exactly what we needed. Great statement, man. Great statement. King SJ says, what's up, Will? Still got goosebumps from the victory. Dude, I don't think I've even woke up yet. So I don't think I went to bed till maybe 3:30 this morning in a hotel over there in Warren, and got up, and they had the most terrible breakfast in the world. So we just got out of there as quickly as we could today. And just, it hasn't sunk in. A long drive home, and it really hasn't all sunk in yet. Like the Lions finally did it. And we get to do it again, this weekend, this Sunday, 4:00 or 3:00, 4:00. Lauren McQuaig says, thanks, Will. I'm a bandwagon fan now, 1.5 years. I can only imagine what it's been like for decades-long fans. It's been a tough slog. Well, Lauren, I certainly appreciate you joining the bandwagon, because without people like you, there wouldn't be the fan base that we have today. And it's just going to keep on spreading. We're spreading faster overseas than a lot of teams are. So bandwagon or not, man, I welcome everybody. It's nice to have new people and new perspective, that maybe you don't have all the old baggage that some fans have. You could literally separate the fan base by probably the decade or two. There's the SOL fan base, the 57 fan base, the never have been, fan base, which would be like the newer generation that has never seen anything. It seems like there's factions to this. King SJ says McVay has all off season to think about it. He certainly does. John Desage says Goff, a bridge QB due to his contract, not his ability. Contract was inherited, which, I mean, that's just what it was. It was an inherited contract. So he will not be a bridge quarterback based on his ability, like Mr. Dusage says. Dusage says signing Goff means we aren't going to re-sign other players that may be vital. I would argue that point, and we'll have a lot of opportunity to talk about that stuff this offseason and on some of the morning shows that start tomorrow. And I'll make it quick. Signing Goff to a big contract will not hurt this team. And the reason why is because it's a percentage of cap game. And with the cap going up like $25 million this year, and that's money that wasn't spent before. So when you do the weighted averages, if you signed him to about a $50 million a year contract, it's only going to move the needle about 1%. So they would be spending about 1% more on their quarterback than they are now. And especially with having a rookie, as our backup, which will be Hendon Hooker, and we'll have another guy come in next year, could be another rookie. Our quarterback room will be very inexpensive comparably to the league, especially when you compare what he's able to do on the field, the stats that he puts up, everything. So we'll, hey, Vince, I appreciate you, man. Just said he just subbed to Rockdown Syndicate Sports. Rockdown Syndicate, that's right, at Rockdown Syndicate. So tomorrow morning, 8:30, we start with our first show. It's the pilot. I want to emphasize it's a pilot. We're just going to get in and start talking about whatever. But as the show progresses, it is going to be a highly, segmented show where we're going to have phenomenal topics, and we're going to hit on the topics, and we're going to have segments for, fans. We'll probably still do the call-in. It's just going to take us a minute to get everything in line, just like any good show does. And yes, to your point, Mr. Desage says, I guess it depends on how much Goff wants. I can tell you this, he probably won't get any less than $50 million. I speculated $45 million, probably a 2 to 3 year extension. So remember, he's signed for next year. It's not like we have to sign him. So it's really up to, to Goff on, how long does he want to stick around? How much longer does he want to be in Detroit? Does he want nothing less than a 4-year contract? Is he willing to take another 2 years? I don't know. I think that, Goff, when he came to Detroit, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm just thinking out loud here. We resurrected his career. Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, resurrected his career. They knew the type of player that they had. And they've said that from day one. So will he give us the hometown discount? I don't know. He might be looking at this like, man, we got an excellent fan base. We've got an excellent thing going on here. Maybe I take 10 million less right now, but they'll get it back to me on the back end, at some point. Because I'll tell you what, you go win a Super Bowl and you're going to make way more money than any contract is going to give you, just in endorsements alone. So that's how I would look at it. Michael Jordan made more money on endorsements and, of course, the shoes, but endorsements than he ever made playing basketball. So that's how I would approach it. But I'm also not a greedy sports agent either. Eric Myers, NBC showed what we ended up getting from the Stafford trade. I went over that a couple of times. The Stafford trade, I think I just wrote it down here too. So we got Ifeatu Melifonwu, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, Josh Pascal, and Broderick Martin. Yeah, as well as trading away a huge contract in Matt Stafford and brought in a contract in, Jared Goff that was less money. All for one player. One player. Getting all those picks and how Brad Holmes, wheeled and dealed all that. It's incredible what Brad Holmes did. I mean, there's nothing short of an incredible opportunity that he had that he turned into more. So, all right. So if you guys are watching the game tonight, right now, you got the Bucks up 10-0 over the Eagles. Is that what I'm seeing? 10-0. I mean, would you rather go up against Philly or the Bucks? I had the Bucks winning this game. Ooh. Well, who would you rather play? Yeah, Vincent, man, I didn't get to hear the entire broadcast because obviously I was at the game and I haven't listened to the full, playback yet. But I heard that. I heard it was all Rams, Rams, Rams. Well, they can ram, what, up there, what. Lions are, I'm sorry, but the Lions are great for NFL business, as a whole. And you see clearly they know that. That's why they did what they did with the ticket prices. So expect that these Lions are going to have to get some respect at some point, especially if there's an NFL narrative that really surrounds this. If there is any sort of, emphasis on teams from season to season by Roger Goodell and, how he wants things to progress. Because to him, it's all about money. It's all about making money. He could care less who wins the Super Bowl, maybe, unless it's really all about money. All right, Lone Wolf says, Bucks for me, Hurts can run, and we know what running QBs do to us. Yeah, that's very true. And look, Mayfield can run too, but he's definitely not Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts, he totally gashed the crap out of us. Was it last year's opening game against Philly? I think it was. And we almost won that game. I think we lost by 3. David Petrock says Eagles have more upside, but they are incredibly lost right now. Guys running into each other on defense. Offense is struggling to get first downs. They're reeling right now. They're pretty banged up. A.J. Brown's out, right? He never suited up for this game. I thought he was out for the rest of the season. So, look, I wanted to jump in tonight. I just wanted to have a brief conversation about Jared Goff and wrap this whole thing up and move on to the next game. I couldn't be more happy as a Lions fan. I couldn't be more happy for Jared Goff and Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. What Dan Campbell did last night, giving Brad Holmes the game ball, immediately brought him to tears. And using the words lockstep and how, they've been together since day one and how they really have to have a really good relationship to do what they're doing and to build what they're building. And I know there's been some speculation about Brad Holmes potentially heading back out west. There's opportunities out west. And there's a lot of opportunities all over the league. Teams looking to do a complete rebuild, just like what he's done in Detroit. I think that it would be very difficult to pull Brad Holmes away from Dan Campbell because it's not every day that you have that type of relationship with your head coach. It's usually, more sandpaper going against the grain, if you will, because they're not always going to see eye to eye. A head coach is going to want a certain type of player. And a GM is going to think that there's a better player. Unless you're Jerry Jones, because Jerry Jones apparently does it all. He picks the players. He probably coaches half the damn game. Maybe he calls some of the plays. I don't know. But how about them Cowboys, man? I'm glad that they're on their way to Cancun right now or wherever the hell they're going. It's what you get. Jerry Jones needs to take a step back if he wants that team to ever be something again. All right, so David Petrock says we've already beat the Bucks, so we've got tape on them. Good point. They scored 9 versus the Panthers, so it's not like they're on the same level as the Rams offensively. Plus, we are at home this time. I love it. I think anybody coming into the Den right now is in trouble. Imagine, for just 1 second here, what we just did last night as a fan base. We're going to do it again this weekend, and it's going to be even louder. So, and better. I think that anybody that comes into the Den is going to have a problem. The only thing that I'm worried about is AG's defense. I think our offense can cook. I think that Ben Johnson needs to continue to be a mixologist and not go into safe mode like he did yesterday. You guys saw it. I called the naked boot. Jared Goff was out there rolling around. Those are the types of things that we need to see. We need to see more action out of Goff. Keep it moving, more motion. We run the same type of plays out of the same sets, and they, you see the same thing coming out of the same formations. it tends to get stale, number one, and the defenses can start to read what you're doing. And I said this last night too. If you look at the types of plays that the Rams are running last night, a lot of crossers, a lot of stuff over the middle, it's the exact same stuff that we run. If you want to beat our defense, you need to mimic our offense. What our offense does well means that that's what our defense typically can't defend. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but it's just something that I was thinking about the other day, that your defense typically can't defend what your offense does well. And last night, it looked like the Rams did exactly what we do on offense. And I haven't watched a ton of tape on the Rams, but it seemed like there was a few plays in there that looked very, very similar. And I know that Jared Goff brought some plays over from the Rams. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. He brought some of his favorite plays with him. And he's going to do what he does well. I'm really surprised that McVay had difficulty stopping it. Lone Wolf says, I will say the Lions defense makes me very nervous. But last night, those 3 field goals they forced in the red zone saved us. Yeah, that was huge. Finally stepped up in the red zone. Now we got a little bit of help. There was pass interference on that big pass play to Sutton. He did have him by the shirt. Lucky that didn't get called. But there was also, 10, 12, 15 no calls, missed calls that should have gone against the Rams last night. I mean, just watching the highlights, I wanted to cringe again at the NFL. And that stuff's got to stop. I don't know why we can't get good referees, I'm not asking them to let the Lions win. I just want them to call an honest and solid game on both sides of the ball. If you're going to let one team do something, you have to let the other team do it. And, when it gets to the last 4 minutes of the game, you just better let them play to a certain degree. If it's blatant, if it's obvious, you've got to call it. Last night, it just seemed like a lot of wild stuff was going on. Dan Campbell couldn't even comment on it today. He didn't have a clue as to what was going on with the play clock. He said, I was looking at it too. Like, I was wondering when they were going to start it. But he couldn't comment on it. Probably an NFL mandated thing. That's funny, Emil Myers. That's funny. Michael Jordan says, defense is playing good. We're playing okay. But we're definitely giving up a lot of explosive plays. I mean, you can't give up 60-yard touchdowns. You can't give up 40-yard touchdowns. That's why I highlighted those 2 pass plays tonight when I spoke about the Puka Nacua long TD that Cam Sutton got burned on. CJ Gardner was the one that was over top, completely missed the coverage. Didn't even see Nacua get above Sutton, so he was way late on the play. The Lions really needed to stop playing man-to-man when they were getting burned. They should have went to some sort of a zone coverage. If the single high safety can't do it, they've got to go back to 2 safeties. More dime defense. The one on Atwell, kind of a broken play with Vildor. Vildor missed on the play. But again, nobody was over top to back him up. So what's the point of having a safety up there if they're nowhere around? Put themselves in harm's way. They got to stop. Lions need to clean it up. I don't expect a ton different this week. I'm just hoping the AG calls a different defense. When the Lions blitzed off the edge, we did well. Yeah, King SJ, I believe that too, man. The defense stopping them in the red zone is hopefully something they build off of, but definitely a lot to clean up. I believe in that too. Michael Jordan, yep, keeping offenses under 20. That's my magic number. Or at 20, we win. Can't let the wide receiver back to back go 200 on us. No, we can't. Yeah, that 20 and under, man. That's my magic number. You can go look at just about any week this week. And you look at all the teams that scored less than 20 and tell me how many that won. And the answer is probably going to be somewhere around less than 85% of those teams won. And it's something I've been tracking for a few years. And it's something the Lions need to do. They need to keep these teams under 20 points. So, you know, there's no reason why your offense should be able to score 3 times if you've got a good offense like the Lions do. It's just stopping the other team from doing that. And that means we need a pass rush. Yeah, tackling's a big problem, Leonard Gonzalez. That's a good point. We are one of the worst. All right, so this is going to be the last thing I want to bring up. I want you guys to realize something. When everyone started blaming Goff for a 3-13-1 season, and where we've come since then, these are Pro Football Focus numbers. Here was our overall grade for defense in 2021. As soon as I get there, 1 second. Defense ranked 32nd. Detroit earned the worst PFF grade overall at 44. The Lions finished 31st in scoring defense and 29th in yards allowed. Run defense, 32nd. Again, dead last. The Lions scraped the bottom in run defense, a metric which was tied directly to but not restricted to tackling. Things like beating blocks, finishing players near the line of scrimmage, and initiating contact behind the line all factor in as well. Detroit earned a 35.8 score on run defense. Tackling, 32nd. This is why I wanted to bring it up. So tackling 32nd, run defense 32nd, total defense 32nd. Pass rush 29th, still haven't fixed it. Coverage 31st, still haven't fixed it. Special teams 18th. That's actually gotten better. So 3-13-1, there's a large reason why right there. Defense. Bottom defense in the league. And in 2022, didn't get much better. And now in 2023, still hasn't gotten that much better. So the minute they can get this defense right, which I believe they will this next season, this team's going to be tough to stop. And that's exactly why I want Jared Goff as my quarterback, because I want to stick with the same system, the same quarterback that knows what we're doing, sticking with the same guys, leading them the same way. And if Ben Johnson leaves and if Aaron Glenn leaves, it is much, much harder to start all over with a new quarterback than it is to just keep some things linear and keep moving forward. We've got guys that can come in and call plays. Dan Campbell can call plays. We can find a new defensive coordinator that can, get us out of the basement on defense. I think a lot of this is, partly personnel issues. We're missing a few key players. I mean, literally 3. A defensive end, a defensive tackle, and another number 1 cornerback. Sutton is going to be a number 2. You get those 3 guys, and if we kept the rest of the defense the way that it was, we'd be fine. That's why I want to see Jared Goff stick around. Too much is about to get mixed up. There's too many jobs open. We're going to lose some guys. We might even lose some assistants. And that's another thing that people don't realize when teams move on from year to year, that losing personnel that aren't out in the, front of everything, the guys that are behind the scenes that you don't see, that you don't hear from, those are the guys that sometimes affect the game the most or affect the team the most. They're all relied upon. They're all needed. And we've got an amazing crew behind Dan Campbell. We got to retain as many as we can. I just hope they finally are seeing what's happening in Detroit and they want to stick around. AG, I'm not worried about. I want to see him get a head coaching job only because I want the draft picks. You guys have heard me say that a lot. You're right. Michael Jordan says this is why it's hard to stay on top. It's hard. It's Super Bowl winning teams. They lose a large portion of their players and their staff. And I'll never understand it, because if it were me, I would want to win as many as I could. And I realized that sometimes opportunity only knocks a few times, and you've really got to take that opportunity. I've never been in that position, obviously, as an NFL coach, to know what it's like when that opportunity comes. But I don't know. I guess something tells me that I would much rather stay put and try to keep winning as much as I could, because I would hope that opportunity would come again later. But again, I'm not in that position, so I don't know. So that's it for tonight's show. I just wanted to recap a little bit of this, talk about Jared Goff, because he's done a lot for our city. He's finally helped us get, the playoff victory that we needed. He's gotten the monkey off our back going into this second week. Wild card round 2, divisional round. It's going to mean a lot to this city if we get another win, even more so than last night did. And if we win this next one, we might take it all the way. We just might. These teams are banged up, and the Lions are playing hot. They're playing right at the right time. They're healthy enough, and they definitely have the leadership in front of them. So let's go Detroit Lions. We'll see you guys bright and early at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. It'll be broadcast on this channel. It'll also be broadcast on the Rocked On Syndicate channel, which is at Rocked On Syndicate. It's Rocked On Syndicate Sports. Derek and I will be on at 8:30. We're going to talk about a few topics, probably be on for about an hour, maybe a little longer. We'll see. But we're going to ramp it up over the next couple of months. And once a season officially ends, we'll start ramping it up bit by bit. So I appreciate y'all. Welcome to a different league, because the Lions have finally done it. On to the next one. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Take care. Go One Pride.